Welcome, listeners, to the Let's Talk and Walk podcast. Today, we are walking in the city discussing a new interesting topic about the very nature of truth itself.
Yeah, it's something that feels really relevant right now, doesn't it, with everything going on?
Definitely. It feels like facts are constantly being debated, sometimes even denied. The material we looked at asks this really big question: does this situation, this sort of fluidity around facts, just lead to chaos?
Yeah, or
Does it maybe open up, a different kind of freedom? It's a fascinating tension.
it really is. So let's maybe start with the basics. How do we even define truth? The material laid out a few different types.
Right. First up, there's objective truth. This is the classic idea that some things are just true, full stop, whether we like it or not, whether we believe it or not.
Like mathematical facts. 2 + 2 = 4.
Okay.
Or that the sun comes up in the east, things independent of us.
Exactly. Thinkers like Plato, Aristotle, they were really focused on this kind of mind-independent reality, something, solid and discoverable. Okay. But then there's the other side of the coin, subjective truth.
Yeah, and this is about what's true for you. It's based on your personal feelings, your experiences, maybe your beliefs.
So my liking vanilla ice cream is true for me, but maybe not for you. Or perhaps more significantly, how someone experiences their own identity.
Precisely.
Yeah.
That internal perspective, that personal conviction. Thinkers like Kierkegaard really explored this idea of inward commitment.
But doesn't that immediately create a problem? If truth is just my truth and your truth, how do we agree on anything? How does society function?
That's the core tension, isn't it? The material also touches on normative truths, like rules a group agrees on, language, for instance, and also this idea of complex truth.
Complex truth, what's that exactly?
It's sort of the idea that maybe we need to use the version of truth that's most useful or appropriate for a given situation.
This just shows truth isn't simple.
No, definitely not. And this complexity seems central to this idea of a post-truth era we hear about. It's not just that people are lying more, is it? No, it's more about objective facts becoming less important, less influential than, say, appeals to emotion or personal belief when it comes to shaping public opinion.
So it's about narratives that feel right, even if the facts don't quite stack up.
Pretty much. Facts can get sidelined if they're inconvenient to the story someone wants to believe or promote.
Okay, so what's driving this? Why does truth feel so contested now? The material pointed to a few key things.
Yeah, technology plays a huge role. First, there's deepfakes. AI-generated video or audio that's incredibly convincing.
Right, making it almost impossible sometimes to tell if what you're seeing or hearing is real. That must seriously damage trust.
Massively. The material mentioned a significant drop in media trust since, 2016? And deepfakes are a contributing factor. It really shakes that foundation of seeing is believing.
And then there are echo chambers.
These online spaces or even social circles where you mainly hear views that just confirm what you already think. It gives you tunnel vision.
Makes you think everyone agrees with you, or that opposing views are just crazy or wrong.
Exactly. And social media algorithms feed right into this. They're often designed to maximize engagement, likes, shares.
Which often means the most sensational, emotional, or even outrageous stuff gets pushed to the top, right? Not necessarily the most accurate.
Precisely. It creates these personalized filter bubbles that can end up reinforcing biases and kind of crowding out factual information that might be less, clickable.
It's not just the tech, is it? Our own brains are involved. Cognitive biases.
Absolutely. We're all prone to things like confirmation bias, actively looking for stuff that proves us right.
And ignoring things that don't fit our view.
Yeah. Or motivated reasoning, where we twist information to support a conclusion we want to reach. These biases aren't new, but technology just seems to amplify them, making us more vulnerable.
Okay, so we have deepfakes, echo chambers, algorithms, our own biases. It paints a pretty challenging picture. Does this inevitably lead to chaos? Breakdown.
Well, that's the terrifying possibility highlighted. Erosion of trust in media, institutions, even science or the legal system. You get extreme polarization where different groups seem to live in completely separate realities.
Makes it hard to solve collective problems if you can't even agree on the basic facts of the situation.
Exactly, gridlock. And maybe even a kind of anything goes nihilism if there are no shared values anchored in some kind of shared reality.
That sounds bleak. Is there any upside, any liberating aspect to this?
The material suggests that this challenge actually forces us, or maybe invites us, to step up. It demands more critical thinking. We have to get better at analyzing info, questioning motives, even questioning our own assumptions.
So it puts the responsibility back on the individual.
In a big way. It also requires better media literacy, Understanding how platforms work, how to spot manipulation, how to verify sources. Some places are even teaching this in schools now, which is crucial.
Like learning to navigate the information landscape more skillfully.
Yes, and it also calls for more constructive dialogue, really listening to understand perspectives different from our own, finding common ground, perhaps based on shared values, not just battling over facts.
And empathy comes into play there too, right? Understanding the person behind the belief.
Hugely important. Facts alone often don't change minds, especially on deeply held beliefs. Understanding the why behind someone's view, their story, can be much more effective in bridging divides.
So it's a mix. The erosion of shared facts is dangerous, but the situation also pushes us towards developing better skills, critical thinking, empathy, media literacy.
That seems to be the argument. Objective reality still exists, of course, but its influence on public discourse is weakened. We have to work harder to establish and agree upon facts.
But the very act of arguing about truth suggests we still believe it exists in some form.
That's a key point. Which leaves us with that big question. Can society really function? Can we make progress if our shared understanding of reality keeps fracturing? Or is sticking to the hard work of finding verifiable facts, however difficult, absolutely essential to hold everything together?
Definitely something to chew on. It's not a simple answer.
Not at all. It requires constant vigilance, both from individuals and from our institutions.
All right, that wraps up our walk for today. Definitely gave us a lot to think about. Maybe something to mull over with a coffee or a snack.
It was a really interesting one, and we truly hope you all listening enjoyed it as much as we did. Thanks for joining us.
We greatly value your engagement. If you found this episode informative, please consider leaving a like. We also welcome your suggestions for new topics and areas you'd like us to cover in future episodes. Feel free to share those in the comments section.
And finally, to ensure you don't miss out on our upcoming content, please hit the subscribe button and share it with your friends.
We look forward to bringing you more interesting discussions. Thank you for listening to the Let's Talk and Walk podcast.